front pocket. Good Sunday morning, everyone. Welcome to the First Universalist Unitarian Church of Wausau. My name is Sarah Thurs, and I welcome and thank you for joining us here today. This is a sacred space where each of you is invited to bring your whole self, your curious mind, and your expansive heart. By gathering and sharing in this moment, here today, whether in person or virtually online, together, we're creating a meaningful community that embodies a shared vision of love and of deep and mutual understanding. After coming to church for 19 years, last weekend I finally mustered up the courage to take myself out of my comfort zone and attend the church's annual 3-day winter retreat up in Boulder Junction. To which Steve Schmidt, who knows what an introverted private person I am, said, "Sarah's coming this year? Well, wow." And those would be the words I would use to explain my experience at this retreat. Just, well, wow. Over the course of the weekend, I got to learn how to snowshoe and rock climb and cross-country ski, all new activities that I wanted to learn as I continue to push myself out of my comfort zone and put myself in new situations so I don't get too stagnant. Gathering us together around the fire that first night, Sally Schmidt invited us all to take time over the course of the 3-day weekend to be present and to look for moments of radical amazement. And I saw them all around, not just in the nature, at this magical place. I mean, it's a snow-covered cabin in the North Woods. It's just enchanting, and it snowed that day like we were in a snow globe. But there was so many moments of radical amazement and just the small moments of encouragement and patience and teaching from the adults to the children and later from the children to the adults. Watching the group share in their ideas and the chores and share their books and their songs and their silence. For 19 years, I avoided being vulnerable enough to participate in this church with you beautiful people in an activity that didn't come with a script or an RE lesson plan to follow, or at least an agenda so I could come prepared. This trip asked that I just show up and be present. And I encourage you to do the same in our church activities that are in the yellow pages in your insert, in your order of service. We have so many amazing activities. Our circuit writer, you can find out about them. I printed it out. It's 9 pages of activities just this week that we're telling you about. If you go to the church website and you click on the calendar button at the very top, 3 pages of activities are on our calendar just for February. They've asked me to highlight just a couple of those here today. Today, there are still spaces available for our Finding Common Ground classes after church today and next Sunday. You can come to one or both. They're free. We're even providing a lunch. How amazing is that? We're going to talk about how our differences in our beliefs, in our bodies, in our politics can become opportunities for deeper connection within our families, in our workplaces, and our broader communities. You can also join us for one of our dinners for 9. These are small group dinners designed to share a meal and thoughtful dialogue for us to connect beyond surface level small talk. Each of the gatherings brings together 9 people to enjoy delicious food and conversation to nourish both your body and soul. And I understand we still have openings for the February 16th dinner. That topic will be calm. And February 22nd has openings as well. The discussion theme will be love. There's more information on those in your yellow pages insert. There's just a sign-up link if you want to get involved in those. And if evening dinners aren't your thing, how about a morning breakfast? We have our early risers for our women in our social group in our church. They meet the 3rd Saturday of every month. You're welcome to come if you're a UU member or not. All are welcome as this group meets at Tri-City Restaurant on Grand Avenue next Saturday, February 15th at 8:30 a.m. And finally, one event that is not in your yellow pages insert, but I feel compelled to tell you about, is the play Les Mis that I learned 3 of our UU youth that I got to spend time with last weekend and wouldn't have known this otherwise. They're going to be in this production, Maggie and Delaney and River, the next 2 weekends in the Veninga Theater on Stewart Avenue. So go out and support the arts. Go support our youth. Go support someone being brave enough to put themselves on a stage in a spotlight so you can see them in a light that you maybe haven't before. And so with that, let's continue Sally's invitation to experience moments of presence and radical amazement within ourselves, within our community, and with one another as you rise and greet one another in the pews. Dear friends, please join me in reciting today's chalice lighting. The words are in your order of service. We light this chalice for the light of truth, the warmth of love, and the fire of commitment. We light this symbol of our faith as we gather together. Please rise as able for our opening song, number 301 in the gray hymnal, Touch the Earth, Reach the Sky.
Be seated. Since this morning service is a little different, since I'm not preaching and things are a little changed up, I thought I'd change up our meditation moment this morning. What I'll do instead this morning is we'll start with silence, and then I'll end the silence by offering a meditation. The meditation I'm going to share with you this morning, usually I just pray whatever I want to pray, but this morning I thought I'd share with you a meditation that means a lot to me. The particular meditation I'm going to read is by the late minister Elizabeth Tarbox. I never knew who Elizabeth was until this church's former minister, Glenda Walker, had died, and Jerry Phelan and I were at her apartment going through her books, and this was one of the books that I kept. Little did I know that they went to seminary together, both second career ministers, and Elizabeth served out on the East Coast, and Glenda came here into the Middle West and served. But this is a wonderful meditation, which I expect you'll enjoy whenever you hear it. So with that, maybe this person should take the phone. You never know who's going to call, right? That's what I say. But with that, just center yourselves. Take a moment to take a few deep breaths. Close your eyes if you're comfortable closing your eyes. Breathe deeply down into your stomach. Breathe deeply up into your chest. And our spoken meditation. My names for God don't work here in the desert because they are ocean words. I know how to stir the mystery of the dark waters and move the spirit of briny swells of life because it is my spirit, my mother that rises from the waves to meet my call. And I'm not afraid. But here in the desert, I need a new language, a language that loves clean white branches reaching to a blue sky and the hard open mouth of a dry riverbed beneath the canyon wall. Who are these gods that strike the blood-red walls of the Sangre de Cristo mountains, where spruce and aspen with crooked fingers clutch the wild wind's laugh? I'm ill at ease out here, where ravens fly upside down, huge feet curled with the ecstasy of high flight, preening their feathers in casual command of the wind's army. I can imagine being caught by a hawk's beak, carried to 10,000 feet, and being indigestible, dropped upon the desert floor. I can imagine thirst draining my veins, withering my skin till it flakes away. And I am less than I have ever been because I do not know how to call the spirit of the mountain or how to name the gods that move among these rocks. Kindly, the universe puts its great lips to my ear and it whispers, listen. Just listen. You don't need to know the name of God. You don't need to know how to call it. You need only to know that you don't know, and then to lift your face and stand in its presence and give thanks. Amen. Please stay seated as our prayer hymn is sung.
For today's church offering, I'd like to remind you that if you haven't filled out your 2025-26 pledge form yet, we have some forms available. You can make it really quick and easy to sign it and commit to your financial dedication to this church and all that it offers us. You can also contribute to our church by attending one of the board's meetings, its listening sessions, to share your ideas, volunteering your time on a committee or at the warming shelter that we provide here now, or just by spreading the word about what a great place this church is. We're also collecting financial donations and donations in kind for the Community On Call initiative, including toothbrushes, toothpaste, hand warmers, and new socks. By dropping these items off at church, you can help individuals and families stay healthy and warm this winter. So thank you for your generosity and all the different ways that you give. And speaking of giving, since this is the last service before Valentine's Day, I brought some cherry-flavored, what are called Love Pops, to share with all of you. And if candy's not your thing, I also have just some heart Valentines here. I just wanted to share a symbol of love with you all and make sure that if you don't have a Valentine this weekend, nobody goes home without one. A reminder that you are so unconditionally loved by this church. So I was going to pass them, but I think they'll be kind of crinkly on second thought now, so I think I'll just set them and you can grab one on your way out.
So my reading this morning, I just tried to memorize a story, so I'm going to mess it up. Just go with it. But I have 3 questions to get you into mind to think about this story. How many of you are familiar with Leo Tolstoy's short story, The 3 Questions? A few of you? A few hands? So here are the 3 questions to keep in mind, and then I'll tell the story. So the 3 questions are, when is the right time to do anything? How many of you ever had this question? Yeah, right now. You're like, why am I still sitting in this church listening to this guy tell a story? Okay. Who are the most important people to listen to? I hope you have that question. What is the most important thing to do? Surely we've all had these questions. So when, who, and what? You've got it? Here's the story. So there was this king a long, long time ago in a land far, far away, and he had these 3 questions. What is the right time to do something? Who are the people I should do something for? When's the right time to do it? And what should I do? And so he summoned all these people from around the world, throughout his kingdom, and said, please come here and answer these 3 questions for me. And of course, all the people who think they're the smartest in the world, they showed up first, right? And so scientists showed up, and scientists said what? You need lots of charts, you need lots of graphs, you need controls. You need lots of scientists to run these experiments. And then religious people showed up, and we said, well, you just need to pray about it for a really, really long time, and you probably won't get the answer you want, but that's what we tell people all the time whenever they come to us for counsel. And then this church's knitters circle showed up, and they said, we just know everything, listen to us. No offense to the knitters, right? We all have a knitter in our group. So anyways, all these people from near and far, they all showed up, and they said, this is what you need to do. And he was deeply, deeply unsatisfied with all of these answers. And he had heard that there was this hermit far off in the forest, but this hermit would only receive common folk. And so the king, he got rid of all of his, his kingly attire, and he said to his bodyguard, he said, wait for me here in the forest. I have to approach like a pauper to this hermit. And the hermit, of course, received the king, not knowing that he was the king. And the hermit was working in his garden, and he's just digging and digging and digging and digging. And finally, the king gets so frustrated because he keeps asking him, what are the answers to these 3 questions I have? And the hermit just says, can't you see? I'm digging. I have a garden. And so the king says, just give me the dang shovel. And he starts shoveling and shoveling and shoveling. And then he turns to the hermit and he says, I've been digging in this garden for a long time. I think you should finally give me the answer I've been asking for. And just then the hermit turns and looks, and he says, look, there's someone coming from the forest. They're running towards us now. And as the person gets close to the king and the hermit, the person is covered in blood. They have a terrible, terrifying wound. And so the king strips off his clothes and starts to dab the terrible wound. And the person goes asleep as they're being tended to. And then they come to many, many hours later and is staring face to face with the king. And the person starts to cry. And then the person says, I'm so sorry. And the king says, well, what on earth could you be sorry about? You've just awoken. You were just so sick, so wounded, coming from the forest. And you just collapsed into my arms. This is the first time you've woken up. And he says, well, what you don't know is that I was sent to kill you. I killed your guard, and then your guard wounded me, and then I came here, and you saved my life. And I'm here to kill you, and you saved my life. And the king says, well, perhaps we should make up, because I don't want you to get better and kill me. And this guy says, well, you saved my life. How on earth could I kill you now? And they were instantaneous friends, and the king summoned his own private physicians who came and started caring for this man. And so finally, the king really, really fed up at this point, right? He just saved the life of the person sent to kill him. He never got an answer from this hermit. And so he goes to the hermit and he says, dang it, hermit, tell me, what is the answer to my 3 questions? Who are the people I'm supposed to pay most attention to? And when is the right time I'm supposed to do things? And what am I supposed to do? And the hermit says, I think you've already got your answer. You see, yesterday, you grew so frustrated, you just grabbed my shovel and did all my gardening for me. And that was the right thing to do, because I needed your help. And then the man came from the forest, and he was hurt, and he needed help. And that was the right moment to do the most important thing to do, which was to help someone. And so the hermit said, you've gotten the answer. Return to your kingdom. And the short answer to all these 3 questions, and maybe you know them by now, is when is the right thing to do the right thing? It's always now. What is the best thing you can always do? You can help someone. So anyways, that's our story for this morning. Thank you for listening. And what happens after this? Oh, it's the music meditation. Thanks, Margaret. That's the end of our reading.
First question for me to ask you is a knock-knock joke. Knock-knock.
Who's there?
Cargo.
Gargo?
Cargo.
Cargo who?
No, I'll go to. Cargo's beep beep.
Nice.
Okay. Some of us think humans are here to take care of each other, and some of us think humans are here to destroy the earth. What do you think we're here to do? Is it to care? And why do you think that we do these things that destroy?
I think we're aliens sent from another planet here to terraform the earth. That's what I think. And I think that's why we seem to hate it so much. That's what it seems like, at least. But I honestly think, I've read a little science fiction in my life. Okay. I really think that we are here to only to do good. Mm-hmm. That's my answer to that. I think that evil is a corruption of creation. That's honestly what I think. Mm-hmm. And yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that that's what we're here to do. Because it's a shame. I'd really like to just be a bear. It looks nice. You just walk in the forest and go to the bathroom and eat things. It just looks really nice, like to be a bear. But we're not. We're human beings, and we actually can make a difference in this world. And unfortunately, we can do a lot to destroy the world. That's my answer.
Mm-hmm. Right. Are you friends with Taylor Swift?
I wish. But I'll see her tonight on TV, I'm sure, for the Super Bowl. No, I wish, though.
A follow-up question, if not, what would you like to do together if you were friends with her?
I'd love to write a song with her. I think that'd be really fun to write a song with Taylor Swift. And she just looks like a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. Like every time you see Taylor Swift on TV, she's just vibing with whatever's going on. She's always amped. If she's feeling sad, she just shows it. She doesn't hide it. I love all those aspects of her personality. And I think her boyfriend's super hilarious. Yeah, I'd totally hang out with her.
I feel like you could have a really good dance party with her.
I would have an excellent dance party with Taylor and my wife and daughter. It would be awesome, yeah. Mm-hmm.
How do you know what the right thing to do is?
Well, I just always know it's right. That's, when you go to seminary, you're given this wonderful authority. You're welcome. I share it with all of you week after week, but I think it's a measure of this is a dangerous question, because on the one hand, I think we sort of learn by a tacit understanding what's right and what's sort of generally shared about what's right. I also think that what's right can be measured by what good comes of it, mm-hmm. And I think that that's a really good indication of something that's right. That's my simplest answer. I guess I'm sort of Kantian a little bit whenever it comes to that, and that you should sort of always try to imagine something universalizable before you do it, if it's something really big. And you should always ask who this should impact. That's my short answer to this big question. I majored in philosophy in college, so I don't want to be obnoxious when trying to answer this question.
We learned about the Potawatomi creation story of Sky Woman. What is your favorite creation story?
I'm thinking. The Shinto one's really cool, about dipping the sword in the creative substance. I don't know. There are two creation stories in the Bible. I like the second one, the Yahwist, what they say, the Yahwist story a lot, because it's the story of the creation of two people. I think that's probably my favorite one. And I also like that, like in Hebrew, I took Hebrew in seminary, and that creation comes out of nothing. So in Hebrew, the word for nothingness is tohu v'bohu, which I just like saying. But anyways, so creation is like a poem, and one way you can think of it is that the voice of God in this creation story was moving quickly across tohu v'bohu. It's moving rapidly across nothingness. And out of this nothingness, God speaks into the nothingness life, and then light and then people, and then animals. And I love that poetic understanding because we all talk. That's how we develop our sense of identity or share our stories. And so I love the element of storytelling in that. But there are multiple I like. I like the story of Turtle Island as well. Those are two.
We learned about holy troublemakers, people who use faith to stand up for what's right in the world. Who are your holy troublemakers that you look up to, and why?
Well, I love Fannie Lou Hamer. I wrote a lot about her, and she worked for justice during the Civil Rights Movement, and she was a holy troublemaker and suffered terrible violence as a result of it. But one of the things that's amazing about Fannie Lou Hamer, and you can find videos of Fannie and her activism on YouTube, is that she always seemed to show up to these terrible moments of protest, always with song, and would bring people together through singing and orient their collective justice work through song. And I really love that. I love Fannie Lou Hamer quite a bit.
What's your favorite thing to cook?
Oh, this could go on forever. Sarah, what do I like to cook the most? I don't know. Yeah, everything I make is good. That's.
Hey, at least he's got the confidence.
I'll tell you the two worst meals I ever made. So in seminary, we were very low on the economic chain, and so we had to go to food pantries to get food. We were just completely broke, and so have you all ever heard of Steak and Shake? Do you know what that is up here? Yeah, it's God's gift to humankind. Steak and Shake is. Anyways. At Steak and Shake, they have a thing called chili mac. Do you guys know what chili mac is? Pasta, chili, cheese. And then, if you're from St. Louis, another layer of ketchup, like 2 inches thick. Anyways, so I told Sarah, I said, well, I'll just go to the food pantry and get all this stuff for chili mac. So I got canned chili that was like a dented thing, and then the cheapest pasta ever, and then put a lot of ketchup on it. It was the most disgusting thing we've ever eaten in our entire life. I still apologize. I don't know why she's still married to me. It was that bad. It was awful. The next thing I made was this meal on New York Times, and it has like 5,000 five-star reviews, and it's called Sausage and Grapes and Onions. I would rather eat my fingernails. It was so bad. So bad. But anyways, people in New York City, they must love sausage and grapes but anyways, it is really bad. I love to bake bread. I got into that not that long ago. I make really good English muffins, or as we call them in our house, crumpets. So yeah, those are a couple of things I hate to cook and a couple of things I really like to cook.
What brings you joy in your day?
Interacting with my family brings me an immense amount of joy. I love interacting with congregants as well. Now that I've been here a number of years, there isn't a week and almost never a day that goes by that I don't get to interact with congregants as well. I like that a lot. Right now, what's bringing me joy is in the mornings whenever I exercise, I watch Tiny Desk concerts. Do any of you watch these like 20, 25-minute concerts? They're so good. They're so good. Sarah, what was the lady's name who I watched the other day? She's really short. Sabrina Carpenter's Tiny Desk concert is so good. It is 25 minutes of just marvelous music. And then I watched Waxahachie's last week too, which was really good. So I love Tiny Desk concerts. And then Taylor Swift is amazing. Like the whole place, it's just filled with people. Hers is really good. So that brings me joy as well. And then my dog. And never my cat, always my dog brings me joy. But my daughter's love for my cat brings me joy. So yeah.
I feel like that's a common thread for dads not to be a huge fan of
cats?
their
Yeah.
child's cats.
Right.
Sorry, Dad. How do you spread joy to others?
I try maybe little acts of being nice, gifts of surprise. I always try to send people notes if I think of it, because I love getting something other than bills and spam mail in my mailbox. So I do that. I always try to make light of situations. I feel like people are way too serious Northern Wisconsin people are way too serious all the time, and they need to take themselves a lot less seriously. So I try to joke with them, which some of them don't like, but anyways, I'm still enjoying it. So I try to spread joy that way.
Do you play Roblox or Fortnite? And if so, can I send you a friend request?
I don't even know what those things are, so I'm sorry, but you could request my friendship, I guess.
Okay, maybe this would be a better question then. What is your favorite video game?
Well, I love Animal Crossing a lot.
Ooh, Animal Crossing is good.
It's really, really fun. I love all the recent Zeldas on the Nintendo Switch are really good. On Xbox, I liked Red Dead Redemption, which was a lot of fun, and I watched my nephew play that a lot. I like those a lot. But as a kid, I loved 007 GoldenEye on Nintendo 64. I played 10 trillion hours of that growing up. For all the millennials, all 6 of you, anyways, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, those are good.
Mm-hmm. Do you like the violin or cello better?
I have a legally binding contract that says I have to like the cello more than the violin. So, of course, the cello, but the violin is second, very close second.
Mm-hmm. If you could learn to play one instrument, which would you pick and why?
That's really, really hard. I don't know. I can't really pick. Maybe flute, so I could duet with Louis. That's probably what I would. That's probably what I would pick.
What are your favorite things to do as a minister?
Like professionally as a minister?
Either one.
Oh, I love taking a nap after church on Sundays. That's way up there at the top. I really love getting to go to people's houses and talk with them a lot. That's a real blessing. Just getting to know people is a blessing. Listening to people is very, very nice. The church on Christmas Eve is a gift to me. It's a beautiful service. Those are real. I think also watching a church grow over time is really wonderful, and seeing how the church's mission meets people's needs in their life is really great. And also when the church gets to celebrate a collective success is a lot of fun, because the work that we do, the work that we're called to do isn't easy. To do justice in the world or to work hard on our own stuff, and to see people celebrate a collective success or a success in their own personal life is a very rich reward. So for instance, like what I mean by that, the collective one, was we started the Community On Call Overflow Warming Center. Mm-hmm. And to see the instant success of that and the congregation's overwhelming collective support of it was wonderful. You don't get to see that all the time. So that was a recent thing that I really love to see.
Okay. He's a singer for reference. Do you
Okay.
listen to Juice WRLD?
Juice WRLD?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't know what this is.
I believe he is a rapper.
He's a rapper. I'll check him out.
Right. And then who is your favorite music artist?
This is also very impossible to settle on one musical artist. I guess right now Sabrina Carpenter. I don't know, but
That's fair. She's a good one.
okay. Juice WRLD. Okay.
Do you think God exists? Why or why not?
Yeah, I think God exists. I didn't always think God existed. In fact, my essay to get accepted into seminary was a complete deconstruction of why anybody who believes in God is engaged in an effort of self-deception. And I don't believe that anymore. I think that how I would summarize God is that God is love, and the love that beckons to us in the world is how I would summarize what God is for me in my own words. Yeah. And I definitely think I need a higher power, like me personally, mm-hmm. because if I really have the best thoughts there are for my life, I'm hosed. That's all I have to say. Because sometimes I think my own thoughts and I go, man, you are not a very smart person sometimes. So yeah, I definitely need a higher power that calls me to something better than my own ideas. Like thinking chili mac out of a can is a good idea, right? Like clearly, I don't think very clearly sometimes, mm-hmm. but okay.
I feel like we might already know your thoughts on this, but do you like cats?
Yeah, I mean, cats are okay.
Sure. Who helped you grow up to be the person you are?
A lot of people helped me grow up to be the person I am. My parents split when I was young, and I lived with my grandma for a while, and my grandma was very, very huge, very important in my life. I was very blessed that I had a great-grandma who I got to observe, and her name was Esther, and that was really wonderful. Certainly my mom and my dad and my step-parents, my stepmom and stepdad, my sisters, for sure. I had a couple of really amazing teachers along the way as well that lived large in my imagination. And then certainly friends, and then yeah, as a married, and then my wife and my daughter certainly have helped me a lot. And then also being a part of a church has really helped me grow. I wouldn't be the person I am without a church.
What is your passion?
I have a lot of passions. Fly fishing, duck hunting, collecting stickers. Yeah, I have a lot of passions.
Have you ever done gymnastics or soccer?
I did soccer once, but I only did it one time because my mom forgot to pick me up after soccer practice. And it was across town. And so I had a really good time playing soccer. I'm pretty sure I would have been an Olympian if not for this story. So this is what happened. My mother forgot to pick me up, and so she forgot to pick me up, and I told all the soccer moms, they're like, "Oh, Brian, let me give you a ride home." And I said, "Oh, no, my mother would never forget Brian here at soccer practice." And she truly forgot me, and this was before cell phones. And so I thought it'd be a good idea. In my hometown, there's this minimum security prison. And I thought I could sneak through 2 high fences of the minimum security prison with a huge soccer duffel bag walking next to a prison gate. If you all don't know this, do not walk next to a prison holding a massive duffel bag, because here's what happened. Like, I was walking, and then it got dark, and then all these police showed up, and they're like, "Drop the bag!" And it was dark. I'm fairly certain they pointed guns at me, and then my mother had to and then I got dropped off at home in a police car, and my mom got read the riot act, and I never played soccer again. So that's why. My mother ruined my life. She did. Ruined my life. I'd be a professional soccer player.
By far the best story I've ever heard of why you can't play a sport anymore.
Yeah, it is her fault. But anyway, yeah, but I think soccer is great.
What was your favorite sport to play as a kid?
I wrestled in high school. That was a lot of fun, except for the ringworm and the cauliflower ear. It was a lot of fun to wrestle. Okay, yeah, sorry.
What is the biggest question you are wrestling with at the moment?
At this moment? Let me take it from rated R to PG-13 with my question. I think my biggest question is like the 3 questions we went. When is the right time to do something? Who are the right people to serve? And what is the right thing to do? I think about that a lot.
Is clear a color?
Well, it can't be, can it? Like, colors have to have hue and stuff like that? Is there an art major in the audience? It must not be.
I don't know much
Do you
about
think
it,
it
but
is?
I'm pretty sure it's a reflection of light. I could be very wrong, though.
Clear? What color? What do you all think? Is clear a color? Anybody, raise your hand if you think clear is a color. What? Melody, one person. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Leave it to Unitarian Universalists to argue about clear on a Sunday
Out of
morning.
everything we've talked
okay.
about, this is the most controversial thing yet.
Okay, yeah, well, apparently. 2 out of however many think it's a color. I don't.
Not from the kids, but the service teaser has us all curious. What is your favorite type of cheese?
My favorite type of cheese? Probably Manchego, I like a lot. A Spanish cheese is really, really good. It's like kind of funky, kind of nutty, kind of melty. But I'm really not a cheese snob. I'll eat it all. I grew up eating Velveeta. I didn't know what good cheese was until I was 25 years old. I really didn't. I thought all cheese came out of those little individual the wraps like that. Like, I thought that's what all cheese was. And
Your frontal lobe developed, and bam, good cheese.
I really did. I had no idea. I had no idea that's what cheese was like. Because, I thought it all came out of aluminum foil or plastic wrap. And so my world changed at like 21 years old. I told Ellie, I said, Ellie, I ate pizza rolls, freezer food, and cheese like salmon. Anyways, yeah. I thought all fish came out of a freezer box. Like, I didn't know any of this stuff till I was old.
That's all the questions I got.
Well, I want to thank all of our kids and youth for submitting their questions. I want to thank Rowan for subbing in at the last minute to be our host this afternoon. Give me this morning, big hand. And we actually have a few moments, and I think Brian would be willing to take some questions from the audience, if anyone, or audience, the congregation, if anyone's got a question. You want to raise your hand? We'll walk the mic over.
Did Brian have access to input for any of these questions before 20 minutes ago?
Not that I was aware of. We came up with these in RE and youth group last week, I believe, and it was mostly any question that was like music or sport related was from the kids. And then we had slips of paper and we'd put them in the yes or no pile on whether we wanted to put those.
Yep. So the little kids, we gave some prompts because adults look at you and say, what are all your burning questions? You're not going to get a lot of responses. But youth, I think, came up with theirs all on their own, and then the younger kids came up with some, and then we went through and we were talking about the subjects we had been talking about and whether or not they wanted to hear Brian's thoughts, and as we talked through those, they came up with more and more questions. And Brian does have access to them. I think this year you didn't check them out in advance, right?
I didn't review any of the questions at all. I've done it in the past. I did it. I even wrote a whole sermon. I don't really like spontaneity, but this time I thought, I've been here 8 years. I don't give a rip. I'm just going to let it go. I'm about to start year 9. I mean,
Oh, come back.
I'm hoping your memory is better than mine because this question was actually asked last year, and I'm sure you answered it cogently, but I don't remember what the answer was. So can you tell me, did God make the dinosaurs? That was a question from last year.
Oh, well, thanks, Gene. Did God make the dinosaurs? I think definitely the Stegosaurus. Definitely the pterodactyl. I think the Velociraptor, as someone who's watched Jurassic Park 10 trillion times, looks like an accident of nature that God maybe could be spared. But some dinosaurs for sure. Yeah, that's what I would say. Definitely not snakes either.
Some dinosaurs looked like he dropped his reading glasses halfway through looking at the instructions. And something happened.
That's a good.
Do you garden? And if you do, are you a fan of seed savers?
So Sarah, my wife gardens, and then I water it for the rest of the summer. That's sort of how that works. But yeah, I don't know what Seed Savers is, so I can't say yes or no. But we really love gardening, and then I built. If it's outside and it requires a small engine, I do it, and then I water it. But yeah, Sarah makes our garden look very nice and makes it grow.
Long time ago, from Glenda Walker, from a sermon, she said that everybody should have a favorite poem, and you should know it by heart. Do you have a favorite poem, and do you know it by heart?
I have a couple of favorite poems that I've committed by heart. I think it's really, really good advice. One of my favorite poems is by Jack Gilbert called A Brief for the Defense, which I think people should commit to heart, especially the end. The end goes, we can do without happiness, but we must risk delight. But I think one of my favorite poems is a section from Oscar Wilde's The Ballad of the Reading Gal. And so it was whenever he was imprisoned. I won't get into why he was imprisoned, but he was imprisoned for circumstances that we don't imprison people anymore, basically just because of the nature of the people that he loved. He loved men. And he was imprisoned as a result of that. And he fell into a terrible depression because Oscar Wilde, for people who don't know, was just a very vivacious, bold person who wore, pink angora, and he was really tall and must have struck quite a figure walking around Dublin and London. In any case, he's in the pits of this depression, but his wisdom really shines through. And towards the end of the poem, he turns towards hope, and he writes these words that I think are really, really wonderful. He says, "The wild regrets and the bloody sweats and the new so well as I, for he who lives more lives than one, more deaths than one shall die." And so all the poem is about is that kind of the story that we told this morning, is that this is the moment you've been given in your life. And that if you're still living it, the ship should be pointed forward, and you should be oriented in that direction, and to not lose hope. So those are two poems that I really like a lot. There's some also in the Bible that I like. I like Psalm 85 a whole lot, and I have Psalm 85 memorized as well. My favorite part of Psalm 85 is that it says that justice and righteousness go before the Lord, and they're paving the road. And then at the end of justice and righteousness paving the road that the Lord walks upon, justice and righteousness as if people, it says justice and righteousness go before the Lord, paving the Lord's way, and then justice and righteousness rise up and kiss. I love that image of justice and righteousness paving God's road towards a better world. And then at the end of it, they're so happy with all this work that they've done that they just got to have a quick kiss. I love that. Anyways.
Any other questions?
Do you tie your own ties, and if so, who taught you?
Do I tie my own ties? Yes, and I can tie a bow tie. I can't remember who taught me how to do it. Probably like my grandma or my mom. I had a tie for years and years and years. They used to call me the man in black whenever I was the intern all those years ago at First Unitarian St. Louis. And all I would ever wear was a black suit coat, black pants, black shoes, and a black tie. And they were like, "Are you like a funeral director? Is this all you ever wear?" And so finally, this really generous member of the church was like, "Can I like buy you a tie or something?" But for years and years, I had a tie that my mom had tied that I, would try to keep the knot as good as possible. But I eventually taught myself. Yes.
What do you think I'm good at on the cello?
French folk song, asking me to pluck the A string and never getting it right. Whatever that Game of Thrones song is, you're really good at that. You're very good at the cello. That's my daughter, by the way, just so everybody knows.
Any other
It's time to put them on the spotlight.
Yeah. Well, can we have a big hand thanking Rowan and all of our questioners this morning? I invite you to please rise and join in singing our closing hymn, number 108.
If you'll receive these blessing words, I invite you to reach out with your heart. If you hear someone, you can reach out and take their hand. May the truth that sets us free, and the hope that never dies, and the love that casts out fear lead us forward together until the day spring breaks and all shadows flee away. I invite you to have a seat, enjoy the postlude. See you shortly.